Okay, so next is the isolation of the alkaloid. So you already familiar about the alkaloids. So they are the organic compounds, so which contain nitrogen atom, so in and outside the heterocyclic ring, and they are having basic in nature, and they are going to possess the therapeutic properties on animals and the humans in smaller doses. So when coming to the isolation, so all should be in mind depend the solubility of the these secondary metabolites or the active constituents in various solvents. So their isolation depends on the solubility of the this active constituent in the various solvents, and as well as depending upon the property of the this active constituents of the secondary metabolites. So when coming to the alkaloids, so these available in like two form, that is the base form and the salt form. So in coming to the alkaloidal bases, so they are soluble in the organic solvents, so like the petroleum ether or benzene, but they are insoluble in water. So when coming to the alkaloidal salts, so they are easily soluble in water, but they are insoluble in the organic solvent. So depending upon that, we are going to do the isolation of the alkaloids. So when coming to the general procedure for the isolation of alkaloids, so apart from the this isolation method, so you can write this method, so it is applicable for all the alkaloids. So when coming to the general isolation, so just you are going to treat the this mark, or you are going to treat the powder or any of the material which you are going to taking for the isolations with the base. So the base like sodium carbonate or the calcium carbonate, calcium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, so like that you are going to add any of the base. So what this base is going to do, that is going to set free the alkaloids. So these alkaloids are being freed, so it is like associated with the other like compounds like the phenols or the tannins, so it is going to make them free. So then you are going to extract by using the organic solvent. So this is having this alkaloidal bases, so they are having solubility in the organic solvents, so they are going to move into the organic solvents. So then you are going to treat them with the acid. So why you are going to treat them with the acid means, so it is going to convert the alkaloidal bases into the salt form. So like for example, if you are going to take the caffeine, like caffeine sulfate, if you are going to add the sulfuric acid, so like that you are going to convert that into salt form. So you already know that salt form is having water solubility. So then again, so it will move into the aqueous layer. So then you are going to easily filter that salt form, and you are going to dry, and you are going to go with the further purification process. So like this is a general method for the isolation of the alkaloids. So in coming to the isolation of the caffeine, so you already know that caffeine, so it is present in either the tea or coffee, cola, coca. Okay, so generally it is like mainly present in the tea or coffee. So in coming to the isolation, so we are going to select the tea leaves rather than the coffee seeds. The reason is that the concentration of the caffeine in tea is more, that it is like up to 4%. So when coming to the this coffee, so the concentration is less, like it is 1 to 2%, and from tea leaves, like it is easily extracted when compared to that of the coffee leaf. So hence we are going to prefer the tea leaves for the isolation of the alkaloids. So if you are going to take the tea leaves, so then the biological source will be, so it consists of the fresh or the dried tea buds of Thea sinensis, so belong to the family Thaceae. So if you are going to take the coffee for the isolation of the caffeine, so then its biological source will be, so it consists of the dried seeds of coffee arabica, so family is, that is the leguminosae. Okay, so when coming to the this caffeine, so it is like 137 trimethyl xanthine, and so like it is the it contains purine base, so it is the purine alkaloid. So apart from that, the tea also contains the theobromine and the theophylline. Okay, so when coming to the isolation method, so there are like various methods. Okay, so in that the first method, so in this generally you are going to take the tea powder and you are going to boil it. So as you are going to prepare the decoction of tea, or you are going to prepare tea in your home, then you are going to filter that boiled decoction, then you are going to treat with the lead acetate. So why are you going to treat with lead acetate? So that lead acetate is going to remove tannins by converting the tannins into the lead tannate. Okay, so like it is available as precipitate and it can be easily filtered. So and the excess of the lead acetate, so you already know the lead is the heavy metal and that is toxic. So if you want to remove like the lead acetate, so you are going to treat with the so sulfuric acid, so that is going to convert the lead acetate into lead sulfate and it can be easily precipitate out. Okay, then after that you are going to boil with charcoal to remove the coloring matter. Then you are going to filter it again. Then the filter like the solution you are going to take in with in the separating funnel. You are going to add the decoction and you are going to add the chloroform and you are going to shake it. So the caffeine is having more solubility when compared to that of the so in chloroform and compared to that of the water. So hence the caffeine will move from the aqueous layer into the organic layer, that is the chloroform layer. Then you are going to evaporate that chloroform layer, then just by simply boiling or just by keeping in room temperature. So the chloroform layer is going to evaporate and which is going to leave behind the caffeine. So for recrystallization, so again you are going to add the alcohol and again you are going to evaporate, so you are going to get the white crystals of the caffeine. Okay, so this is the first method. So in coming to the second method, so in this you are going to take the tea leaves, that is the powder, and you are going to add the ethanol in the oxalate extractor. So then the caffeine is extracted in the ethanol and after that you are going to use the adsorbent like the magnesium oxide. So just you are going to add the magnesium oxide into the ethanolic layer. So then that caffeine will be absorbed into the magnesium oxide. So then after that you are going to take out that magnesium oxide and you are going to treat with the sulfuric acid. So then it will be deabsorbed. So means it will be moved into the sulfuric acid layer. So then you are going to move with the extract with the chloroform layer. So adding chloroform, then it will move into the chloroform layer. Then you are going to evaporate that chloroform layer and you are going to so get the crystals. Then you are going to do the recrystallization by using the alcohol. So you are going to get the caffeine. And the third method, so it is like for the coffee seeds or the coffee beans. Okay, so here you are going to use the leaching method. So here you are going to treat the water. So and so you are going to do the extraction. So leaching means so just you are going to keep in contact with the water for prolonged period of time. So here you are going to use the water and the coffee in the ratio of 9:1 and you are going to keep it and so like you are going to prepare the decoction. So then after that, so the for after half an hour time, so the caffeine will be moving into this aqueous layer. So then you are going to collect it out by adding any of the chloroform layer. And the fourth method is like it is like decaffeination. So here you are going to use the SFE or the supercritical fluid extraction. So like it is used for the decaffeination of coffee. Okay, so like here you are going to use the solvent, that is the liquefied carbon dioxide or the super gas or the super liquid. So because this gas, so under compression it is going to behave as a so free flowing liquid, so which is having the high penetration power and which is having less viscosity. So it is going to give you more extracted yield. Okay, so like it will be circulated in the closed vessel and so when the you are going to treat the coffee powder with the so pressurized carbon dioxide. So then after that you are going to release the pressure. So then the gas will be evaporated and then you are going to take out that and you are going to add chloroform and again you are going to evaporate the chloroform layer and you are going to get the so caffeine. So like these are the general 4 methods for the isolation of the caffeine. So you can go with any of the methods, so which will be easy for you. So you can choose any of the method. Okay, so when coming to the detection or identification, so the chemical test, that is the Muroxide test, so you are going to perform for the caffeine. So in this you are going to treat the caffeine with the few drops of HCl and the chloral hydrate in a porcelain dish and you are going to subject for the evaporation. So you are going to boil it. So when it is going to evaporate, you are going to expose that to the vapor of ammonia. So means you are going to take the you are going to dip the glass rod in ammonia and you are going to expose to that porcelain dish or china dish. then it is going to develop the purple color, so that confirms the presence of caffeine. Or you can go with the TLC. So in this you are going to take the sample, that is 1 mg of caffeine in 1 ml of chloroform, or that is the methanol. So when coming to the stationary phase, we are going to use the silica gel G. So we are going to put the spot on the TLC plate, and when coming to the solvent system, you are going to use the ethyl acetate, methanol and the acetic acid in the ratio of 8:1:1. Okay, so then you are going to visualize the spot by spraying the iodine, or by spraying the exposure to the iodine vapor. So it is going to develop the brown color spot, so that you are going to calculate the RF value. So its RF value is 0.41. So when coming to the uses, so the use of caffeine is so it is used as CNS stimulant. So when coming to the whole of the tea, so like it is having multiple uses. So like so it contains theobromine and theophylline. So that theobromine, so like it is having diuretic property. So when coming to the theophylline, so it is used used as bronchodilator. So like that. So when coming to the only caffeine, so it is having the CNS stimulant property. Okay, so next drug is the atropine, or the next active constituent is the atropine. So that is present in the various species of the, that is the Atropa belladonna, or datura, or stromonium, or the hyoscyamus. Okay, so here this is the Atropa belladonna plant, and even you can find in the datura plant also. We have seen that datura plant, but the like more or most of the active constituent are present in the Atropa belladonna. So hence we are going to use this Atropa belladonna for the isolation. So when coming to the biological source, so like it is obtained from the fresh or the dried leaves and the flowering tops. So means here you are going to use the whole of the plant of Atropa belladonna, or datura, stromonium, or the hyoscyamus niger, so which belong to the family Solanaceae. So when coming to the active constituents, so whole of this plant, so it contains the atropine, scopolamine, hyoscyamine and hyoscine. So when coming to the main, so that is the atropine. So when coming to the uses of this atropine, so it is used in the treatment of peptic ulcer. So it is used in the treatment of digestive disorders like the spastics or ulcerative colitis, diarrhea, in the pancreatitis. It is having anticholinergic property, so it is having the narcotic property. It is used as sedative, so it is used as diuretic. It is used as mydriatic, so it is having the antispasmodic property. So when coming to the so when coming to the isolation, so as already discussed, so like general method, so you can implement. Okay, so in this, the first we are going to treat the powder with the aqueous solution of the sodium carbonate, or calcium carbonate, or calcium hydroxide. So you are going to treat with it the that is the base, or the basic solvent. So that is like the calcium chloride, sodium carbonate, sodium bicarbonate, sodium hydroxide. So like that, any of the basic solvent or alkali solvent you are going to take, so which is going to set free the alkaloidal bases, so which is like associated with the other compounds like the tannins or the phenols, so which is going to set free the alkaloidal bases. So then you are going to extract with the ether or benzene. So like you are going to use the organic solvent. So like as already discussed, these alkaloidal bases, they are having solubility in the organic solvent, so they are insoluble in the this water, and so hence you are not going to use the water. So you are going to use the organic solvents, that is the petroleum ether or benzene. So then it will move into the this organic layer. So then this alkaloidal, the bases, so which are extracted from the solvent, and so then you are going to use the acid, so to treat or to convert the alkaloidal bases into its alkaloidal salt. Okay, so any of the acid you can take, like the HCl or H2SO4 or the acetic acid. So then the acid solution is taken with the solvent ether to remove the coloring matter. To remove the coloring matter, so here we are going to use the ether. So then the alkalides are precipitate with the sodium carbonate, so they are filtered off and they are dried. Okay, so like the alkaloidal salts which are like so isolated, or they are being converted into the so the alkalides which are being converted into the alkaloidal salts, so again, so they are removed by adding, or they are precipitated by adding the base, or you are going to just increase the pH by adding any of the base. Okay, so then the dried mass, it is dissolved in the solvent ether or acetone and dehydrated with the anhydrous sodium sulfate. So again you are going to dissolve, use the ether or the acetone. So then after that you are going to cool, so that is going to yield the crystals of hyoscyamine and the atropine. So once you are going to cool it, so that is going to generate the crystals of the hyoscyamine and the atropine. So then again you are going to filter, then you are going to dissolve it in the alcohol and sodium hydroxide. So then it is allowed to stand. So then the hyoscyamine which is present, it will be completely racemized to the atropine. So means then atropine and the hyoscyamine, so they are like so they are the optimers, or they are the stereo, or that is the isomers. Okay, so like they are the stereo isomers, so like which are having the structural that is the difference, or arrangement of the functional group will be different. So hence if you are going to treat the hyoscyamine with the sodium hydroxide and this alcohol, so it will be converted into the, or it will be racemized into the atropine. So like then the crude atropine, so it is purified, and it is by crystallization by the from the acetone. Okay, so general simple method. So just you are going to treat the extract with the alkali, so it is going to set free the bases. Then you are going to extract by using the organic solvent. Then you are going to convert that alkaloidal bases into the alkaloidal salts by adding any of the acids like the HCl, H2SO4 or the acetic acid. So then to remove it or to precipitate out, so again you are going to use the basic solvent. So when it will be precipitated out, so just you are going to filter, but here it contains two, that is the hyoscyamine and the atropine, so both are isomers. So to convert the hyoscyamine to atropine, so you are going to add the alcohol and the sodium hydroxide, and you are going to keep it aside. So then the hyoscyamine will be converted into the atropine. So then you are going to go with the crystallization by adding the acetone. So this is the first method for the isolation of the atropine. So in coming to the second method, so here in this you are going to take out the dried, that is the powder of belladonna leaves, and you are going to extract with the alcohol by using the Soxhlet apparatus. So next you are going to collect out the alcoholic layer or the ethanolic layer. Then you are going to concentrate it under vacuum, so means you are going to evaporate the solvent. So then you are going to get the syrupy mass. So then you are going to dissolve the HCl, and you are going to filter. So that filter contains the alkaloids in the aqueous solution, and it is extracted by using the petroleum ether. And so why you are going to use the petroleum ether? To remove the other impurities and the coloring matter. So then you are going to make the solution alkaline with the ammonia solution. Then you are going to extract with the chloroform. Then you are going to combine both the chloroformic extract. So then you are going to get the residue. Then you are going to use the dilute oxalic acid. So then the alkaloids will be crystallized out. Then you are going to go with the fractional crystallization. So you are going to get the atropine. So this is the second method. So in coming to the method 3, so in this you are going to take out the extract of the belladonna root or from the datura plant. You are going to take the aqueous extract. So means you are going to dissolve the root or any of the leaves, and you are going to make it powder, and you are going to dissolve in water. So that will be the aqueous extract. So that aqueous extract, so it contains the hyoscyamine, and it is heated with the alcoholic potassium carbonate solution, and it will be racemized to atropine. So it will be converted into the atropine. So then you are going to extract with the chloroform, and you are going to recover the chloroform under vacuum, and you are going to extract with the sulfuric acid. So then again you are going to make it alkali with the potassium carbonate. So then the atropine will be precipitated out. So then the precipitated atropine is extracted with the ether, and it will be purified, and it will be converted into its oxalate or the sulfated salts. Okay, so this method 1 and the method 3, so both are simple. So in coming to the method 3, so just you are going to take the aqueous, that is the extract. So you are going to basify with the potassium, that is the carbonate. So or you can use any of the alkali. So then so you are going to extract with the chloroform. So then you are going to treat the extract with sulfuric acid, so it will be converted into the salt form, that is the atropine sulfate. Then again you are going to make it alkaline, so by adding any of the solvent, either the calcium hydroxide or potassium carbonate, so it is going to precipitate out the atropine. Then the precipitated atropine, so it will be extracted in the ether and it is purified and it will be converted into its oxalate or the sulfates. Okay, so when coming to the identification test, so when coming to the chemical test, we are going to perform the Vitalins Morins test. So in this you are going to treat the atropine with the fuming HNO3, and after that you are going to allow it for dry or you are allowing for evaporation. So then you are going to add the methanolic potassium hydroxide solution, and so then after that you are going to add the acetone solution to the nitrated residue. You are going to get the violet color, so due to the presence of the tropane nucleus. So like these are the tropane alkaloids. So when coming to the another method, that is the TLC method. So in this you are going to use the stationary phase, that is the pre-coated silica gel or silica gel G. When coming to the mobile phase, here you are going to use the toluene ethyl acetate or diethyl amine in the proportion of 7:2:1. So when coming to the detecting agent, so here you are going to use the drag and drop reagents. So when coming to the observation, so you are going to observe at UV light in the spectrophotometer at 365 nanometer. So it is having the RF value of 0.70. So when coming to the estimation, so you can go with the non-aqueous titration. So in this you are going to weigh 0.5 gram of the atropine, you are going to dissolve in 30 ml of the anhydrous glacial acetic acid, and you are going to titrate against 0.1 normal percolic acid, and you are going to determine the endpoint by potentiometric or by potentiometrically.